Good evening and welcome back to another edition of Spotlight. Today's Spotlight is on Virginia's district number 7. This district has 740K population and 48.4% males and 51.6% females. Whites are 35.8% and blacks are 57.2%, rest are Asians. Median household income is 40K and high school graduates are 82%, while college graduates are 21%. This district has been represented or is being represented for the last 27 years by a Democratic candidate by name Robert C. Scott. And he is being opposed now in this election by John Collick. John is disabled, retired Marine First Sergeant and retired federal employee. Served over 35 years in various agencies in the intelligence community, including over 15 years as both counterterrorism analyst and Middle East subject matter expert. As youth, his family was so poor, and in order to attend a Catholic school, he earned money for himself. So he started working at the age of 14. He not only paid for his school, but also paid for his college. And he has been married for 34 years and have 4 children and 2 grandchildren. That is John. Welcome, John. Good evening, John. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Very good, very good. Congratulations on securing the seat for Republican candidate for contesting in Congressional District 7. I think you fought with 3 people. Congratulations again for the win.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. How is the campaigning so far, John?
It is very, very hard. Very, very busy. And this is the 3rd congressional district of Virginia. So it's very, very large, and it covers 2 sides of the James River. So I've been going for at least 12 hours a day, most days about 16.
So is it exhausting, or you are taking inspiration from President?
Oh, it is exhausting. I don't know how the president does it, but I am certainly glad I am not going around the country to do this.
Okay. Why do you want to run for congressional election this time, and then the 2 from Republican Party? What made you to run from Republican Party, sir?
Well, honestly, the reason I decided to run is nobody was ever challenging Congressman Scott. He has run unopposed for most of the last 28 years. He's only been opposed a few times from some very good people, but for some reason, they weren't able to break through. And I have a belief that every ballot should have 2 people on it. So I looked for somebody to run, couldn't find anybody. And the very short story is a very dear friend of mine in the Republican Party said, nobody's crazy enough to run against Bobby Scott. So I took that as a challenge.
Is it because nobody wants to run, or is he so formidable?
It's really because it's a combination of 2. Everybody, told me for years, nobody can beat Bobby Scott. That's why nobody runs against him. I'm a Marine. Okay. People have told me many times that you can't accomplish this or you can't accomplish that. And I've proven them wrong. So when I was told nobody can beat Bobby Scott, so nobody's running, I took that as a challenge to myself because, nobody is insurmountable.
I like your spirit. Obviously, you got it from being a Mariner. I would like to ask, one of your previous jobs has been that you worked in counter-terrorism as well as Middle East peace expert, subject matter expert. Tell us about that. What is the broad outlook of whatever President Donald Trump has done to the Middle East and Israel recently? It's not much talked about in the mainstream media. I would like to hear from you as a subject matter expert in Middle East.
Okay, on the new treaties that he's got going between Israel and the various countries in the Middle East, honestly, everybody, including myself, I believe for years, because of all the attempts that have made since Camp David in the 1970s up to now, that something like that would be very difficult to do. But the President Trump, was able to get the different countries down to talk and to develop a peace deal. Now, a lot of it is probably because of Iran. Okay, these same countries that are, having peace treaties now with Israel are scared to death of the Iranians, and they know that President Trump will back them up in if anything happens with the Iranians. So I think that was definitely part of it. And having peace in the Middle East is just going to benefit everybody. And it's going to benefit us quite a bit too, because Israel is one of our defense partners. Okay, they have a deep water port that we depend on from time to time to fix especially our aircraft carriers. So, when we put all that together, nothing could be more important for us as a nation as peace over there, not to mention what is so important to the people there, because every last one of us is God's child. And so we want peace everywhere in the world. And that is one area that's been really hard to do. And the president has accomplished the impossible.
What are you going to see if president is re-elected in the next 5 years or 4 years? What's going to happen to the Middle East region?
I honestly believe if President Trump is reelected, which I certainly believe he is going to be, I think we're going to see more countries coming on board with peace. The wild card is obviously Syria. Okay, the Russians are internal there helping the Syrian government, a dictator, Bashar, and he has no problem killing his own people. So that is really the biggest wild card. But I really think we're going to see most of the other countries come on board. Lebanon, which was our ally for many, many decades, I think we're going to see them come back on board. And we might even see in Lebanon, the Christians and the Muslims work together in their country, something that I remember many, many years ago. And when I was in Beirut during the war in 1984, you could see that was just tearing them apart. But I think they're going to come back together at some point. And the rest of North Africa, I think we're going to see a lot of positivity coming out from that region. Are we going to see everlasting peace? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I think we have a good shot at peace for the next couple decades. What are you going to see if Biden elects by chance? Is it going to be like this, or is the peace talks are going to advance, more countries are going to join, or everybody will again go back to their normal state, what they were a few months back? I honestly believe if Joe Biden is elected president, he's very weak. Okay, the Democrats are very, very weak internationally, and I think a lot of groups that are standing down and really not doing anything now because they know President Trump will not hesitate to go after him, may rise up. They may decide, you know what, we're gonna go back in and try and take over the country that we had been in. We're gonna start terrorist attacks against the United States again. I just don't think Joe Biden or the Democrats have the intestinal fortitude, to be honest, have the moral courage to do what's right because it's right. Everything they do is going to be politically expedient. And that is honestly what gets us into so many messes. Tell us a little bit more about your career in the defense, John. Oh, certainly. Well, I spent 20 years in the Marine Corps. I was a manual Morse intercept operator, a special intelligence analyst, and an Arabic linguist. And I didn't do a whole lot with language in there because I learned the language late in my career. And then I became a first sergeant and I was in the infantry. But the good thing is after I retired, well, it's really not a good thing, but we had 9/11 and I still knew my language. And so I was called by the Navy and asked to move up to Norfolk, Virginia to work as a counterterrorism analyst. And primarily my task was to translate from Arabic into English, small documents, okay? They weren't large books or anything, but they were pay rosters, they were pocket litter that was found. And we were able to identify quite a number of people by their real name and by where they came from as terrorists. And so, I found the Al Qaeda pay roster within the contents of the materials that we found. And I was able to go down that list and identify a couple hundred terrorists by the real name and by the country that they came from. And there were some that came from the United States and other Western countries. So that, for me, that was really the highlight of my career. But that was just the beginning of what I did in counterterrorism. I also developed the maritime security portion of counterterrorism for the U.S. Coast Guard. I developed the asymmetrical threat methodology along with the team of people working with me, which we now use to identify terrorist events before they occur. And we've been able to arrest a number of people in the United States that were attempting to cause a terrorist event that were very unsuccessful doing so because we knew ahead of time. So, that is some of what I've done. And I don't want to bore everybody with everything, but certainly as questions come up, I will elaborate on more.
Yeah. My next question basically is hinging on this. Like, we hear a lot of things about during the Obama era, the military was depleted and weakened. And then President Trump almost has infused the $700+ billion to make army or rather the defense stronger again.
Right.
Tell us the difference between these two administrations and then defense, John.
Well, I think the biggest
this is with reference to the question, like we always hear, peace through
strength. Certainly.
Yes.
Well, I think the biggest thing that comes to mind when I want to compare both administrations is sequestration. President Obama had an agreement with the Congress, and I believe this was intentional on his part because he wanted to hurt the military capabilities. But he had an agreement with Congress if we didn't reach a certain budget number that we were going to have sequestration, and it was across the federal government. It wasn't just Department of Defense, but Department of Defense was part of it. So they didn't get the equipment they needed. They didn't get the people they needed, the training that was needed. And we lost so many capabilities along with the capabilities, with foreign partners that just really hurt us tremendously. And, we lost a lot of credibility as a nation, again, because the President Obama did not have the moral courage to do what was right because it was right. You go back and you look at Benghazi. I was in Stuttgart when that happened. And several people had told me that the president had ordered General Ward to stand down and not send assistance to Benghazi. Now, the Obama administration would tell you that never happened. I was there. That's what I was told while it was going on. Okay. President Trump, on the other hand, would never do that. He would tell his generals, you do what you got to do. We have to save American lives.
Yes.
Okay. That's the big difference between the two. Again, President Obama was very politically expedient, and he did a lot of things wrong, in my opinion. President Trump has the moral courage to do what is right because it was right, and he will take the personal heat for it.
Exactly. One of the issues that you want to take up if you are elected as being the national security, with reference to what we have been speaking, what are you going to contribute to Congress?
Well, in the national security realm right now, the most important piece is getting our Navy up to speed. Under the Constitution, we're required to maintain a Navy. Okay, it says that solely about the Navy. We have to have an Army, particularly in times of war, but we must maintain a Navy. And the reason for that is so we can keep open all the maritime shipping lanes, so we can keep international commerce going. Well, our Navy is requesting a total of 355 ships inside the next 20 years. And right now, we have 305. We've got about 45 that are going to come offline in the next 5 to 7 years. And we've got about 15 that are coming online. We don't have the people that we need to build these ships. And our facilities are aging very, very quickly to repair these ships. So we need to overhaul, as a nation, our ability to build ships by having vocational technical high schools. So we're training young people to work with their hands. These are kids who don't necessarily want to go to college. Okay, we haven't been doing that very well as a nation, particularly in the areas where we have shipyards. Okay, point blank. We need that. And then once we have the capability and capacity, because we do have the capability, but we need that capacity, then we move forward with that 355 ship Navy, while simultaneously taking our Navy shipyards, there's 4 of them, where we fix the ships. And when they come in for routine maintenance, or God forbid something happens where they have to come into the yards, they have to be brought up to the standards. The shipyard that we have here in Hampton Roads is the Norfolk Naval Shipyard. It was built in the 1700s. Many of the buildings are pre-Civil War, and most of the tools, including the dry dock, is pre-World War II. Okay. We can't do that as a nation. We want to build 21st century ships. By goodness, we need a 21st century shipyard. And so it all goes hand in hand, as you can see. And why do we need this? Because we are being challenged today by the Chinese in the Pacific. They are building a Navy so fast because they want to control the shipping lanes. They want to control international maritime commerce. And, you know, we all know, as a communist country, if they try to control it, it's going to hurt everybody else. And that is why we have to have a Navy. And that's my number one priority, to have a stronger Navy than we have today.
I have a question. Generally, I want to ask to so many people, maybe you're the right person to answer that. President says that we don't want to fight wars outside. And at the same time, no country can come to the shores of America and then fight with America because of its vast geography and then the reach and the oceans on either side. And then the neighbors are friendly neighbors. So therefore, why should we spend so much money on defense when there is president doesn't want to fight wars? Or at sometimes maybe you need to go out and then show your muzzle, but he doesn't want to do that either, and he wants to bring the troops back to the country. Please explain me this context.
Well, you know, obviously I can't speak on behalf of the president. I do believe in foreign, you know, in forward presence. And that, again, through the Navy is probably the best way to do it. I would like to see most of our troops that we have overseas come home. I don't think we need them in as many places as we do. But at the same time, there is a need for foreign assistance. You know, we have special forces that goes over to other countries, particularly in Africa, where they help out to ensure that there's some level of peace. Okay, we have troops in Afghanistan. I'm one of the believers that we should have gone over there. We should have destroyed the terrorist camps. We should have killed as many terrorists as we could and come back home with the ability to go back if needed. Now, over in Germany, we have United States European Command, which I think belongs there. It really does. It's a great place to command and control forces in Europe. But we also have United States Africa Command, and that is one of the few commands, if not the only one, that is based in a foreign country away from its mission. United States Central Command is in Florida. United States Southern Command is in Florida. Pacific Command is in Hawaii. Why is Africa Command in Stuttgart, Germany? I would like to bring that home. And we have a wonderful place that we can put that in either Norfolk, Virginia, or Suffolk, Virginia, where United States Joint Forces Command used to be. And we've got plenty of empty buildings where classified information can be held, meetings can be held, because they were never decertified. They're empty, but they are still certified to house a major command. So I would like to see them brought home. But we do need troops in some places. Korea, for instance, we bring our troops home from Korea. It's going to be devastating to the South Koreans. So that's something that we just cannot do. But I am a big time believer in we should have the minimum number of troops overseas at a time, but we have the ability to deploy them. Again, let's keep the peace through strength.
From the people you need to the jobs you want, and everything in between. Find jobs on Easy Jobs.
A final question in this about national security is, do you still believe Russia is threat to world peace, or China is more threat than Russia to the world peace?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because Putin is a totalitarian. He wants to maintain, the strongest country in the world. He likes to beat his chest. Could he be a threat to peace? No, he absolutely could. And again, as long as we have a strong military, there's no way he's going to be able to threaten us. But if he senses a weak military, a weak president, he certainly will pose a significant threat to peace, particularly out in Western Europe.
Okay, thank you very much. Then let's go to the next segment, being education.
Okay.
You say, like, most of the things that you have written support whatever as President said, except for a few things. Tell us more about school choice to how you want to improve the education system, John.
Okay, well, first, I believe that education is one of the most important aspects of bringing up a child so that we have a strong country. Okay, our education system is currently failing us. The teachers are great, but they're not getting the support that they need from the administration, from many parents. As there's a lot of parents that will go in and yell at a teacher and give a teacher a hard time because their son or daughter failed, but the whole year they're doing nothing to help their child. What I do believe is a school choice. Where parents can pull their kids out of failing schools and send them to a private school, whether it's a religious school, just a generic private school, a charter school, magnet school, which is public, or if they want to homeschool, they should have the ability to do that with the money that is typically used for the child, following that child. So that child can be educated the way the parents want. We have schools right now that are making decisions on what our kids should learn that many parents will find abhorrent. And so it should be up to the parents as the primary educators of their child to make the decision where they go to school and what they learn.
But the school choice, is it not going to make some schools go less students or student less? Then it's going to be a burden on the local governments.
Well, obviously there will be smaller classrooms, but right now we've got 35 children in a classroom, and the teacher should be teaching about 25 at the most. A big classroom should be 25. So it's going to help that. It's going to bring down the number of kids in a classroom. And it's going to make schools compete for those students. So
do you feel that the schools are going to really compete, taking the situation now, the unions and the teachers and the party affiliations, are they not going to let it go like that because they're earning anyway their salaries?
Well, they will have to, under this plan, if it passes, they will have to compete for children to come to their schools. And that has the ability to bring all schools up, okay, to make every school better. Because the administrators, the principals, the superintendents of the schools will have to come up with a plan of what are we going to do to make our school competitive with those private schools, so that children want to come back here. Otherwise, it may end up being the money follows the children, and so many really good private schools pop up that we don't need our public schools. And that's not what we're after. We want to bring our public schools up. Right now, most public schools in my area are closed. Some of them are open a day or two a week. The private schools are thriving in this area. I have a son with Down syndrome going to a private school, and he is doing exceptionally well. And the public schools just do not want to open. And that is just beyond me.
This vocational technical high schools, I think we have quite a lot of them in New Jersey. I think each county has one or two. But what is, not all counties have the schools, sir?
Well, down here in Hampton Roads, we have a few school districts that offer classes in some of the technical trades, but I've yet to find any that offer a full-time classes so that students can get certificates, can get licenses to work in the trades when they graduate. And those few schools that do offer anything like that, there are so few school seats. We've got 100,000 high school students in Hampton Roads, and we don't even have 1,000 school seats. We need, in my opinion, we need 2% of our students in Voc Tech. Now, like you said, up in New York, up in New England, I grew up in New England, and the schools up there are great. Because if you don't perform, if you don't do well in your trade portion of school and in your basic subject matter classes, like English, math, and those, then you're going back to the public school that you came from. You're not going to stay in the Voc Tech. And I know so many people that graduate from Voc Techs that are just so successful in life. And down here, we have, we're importing workers from other locations. We're building a lot of infrastructure right now. You go to any hotel on a weeknight, and you're going to see a dump truck there. You're going to see pickups with different builders on the side, and they're all from out of state. Okay. We're sending our tax dollars to other states. We need to have our young men and women who are currently unemployed and don't have the skills, but do have the intelligence. We need to get them trained to work in our locations here in Hampton Roads, so that we can keep our tax dollars here, and we'll have fewer people on unemployment, fewer people on any government assistance, and it's going to really help not only the people of this area, but the country as a whole. Like I said, we have 2 major shipyards in this area, along with a number of businesses that support them, in addition to what everybody else has, people that build roads, bridges, tunnels, buildings, and all that stuff. So Voc Tech is vital to this area. And as I understand it, to most of the areas that do have shipyards and have large defense plants.
I have seen your plan about immigration. There is a lot been written about this plan, especially you in your local papers in Virginia, as if they are strict immigration policies of yours. But I don't think they are strict in the sense they are strict. But it is basically towards you are talking towards the people who do not follow the law, who came as an alien and do not follow the law.
Correct.
I want you to explain that point more clearly, because I do not want the viewers to get confused about what being written in your local papers.
Okay. No, right now in immigration, there's really no fairness. Now, I do believe that we need to have the wall on the southern border, just like I believe we have to have checkpoints at the airports. But when somebody comes in through the southern border and they don't get inspected, okay, they're not stopped by a Customs and Border Protection officer, but they just come through, they're in the country. We call them illegals. And they can never, under our laws, become a U.S. citizen. They can go back to their home country and they can't become a U.S. citizen. That is wrong. They should be able to apply for citizenship after returning to their country. And if they've got family here, They should be treated like anyone else that has family here. They should be able to come back, but they've got to do it legally. Now, on the other hand, if you fly into the United States and you get inspected at an airport and you overstay your visa, and you can overstay your visa by a day or by several years, you walk into a USCIS office and you say, I want to change my status to an intending immigrant. They will say, well, you overstayed your visa, but we can give you a waiver for that, and we will change your status right now. And now all these people who have been waiting for 10 years in their home countries are pushed back on because this person broke the law, they got a waiver, and now they're staying. We shouldn't have that. They should, if they overstayed a visa, they should have to go home and apply for citizenship to come back into the United States. And thirdly, I think the Immigration Nationality Act, the INA, really has to be revamped because, it conflicts with itself in so many locations, particularly when it comes to children born of one American parent and one foreign national. And they decide, in their later years, and when I say later years, their early 20s and after they're, in the age of majority, some of them can't come and be an American citizen because they didn't live here for 5 years as a child. But if they were born, say, in 1960, okay, and they're just about 60 years old, they've never lived here, they can fly in and say, hey, I want to be an American citizen. And it's nearly automatically granted because back in 1960, that was the law. We need to change it. So what the law is today is the law for everybody. Okay. We've got to stop using such an outdated and a confusing law. And it's got to be the same for everyone across the board.
You've been using a term called illegal immigrants. Okay, why the Democrats no longer treat them as illegal? There is no illegal in the dictionary of Democrats. They always embrace those people more than their own citizens. What could be the reason?
Well, simply put, the reason is they're losing support by natural born citizens and naturalized citizens who are seeing right through what they're trying to do to this country. And so they want to bring in more people who they feel aren't smart enough to really look at what they're doing to the country. And they see a different view of America than most of us. Okay, the left wants to control what we can do and what we can say. They honestly do. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is with people who don't really understand the history of our country, our founding, and why we have the rights that we have when many other countries just don't. So that is really where they want to go. And they don't refer to them as illegals. And that's the genesis behind it, because they want to treat them as if everything they've done is completely legal. But if you look at the Immigration Nationality Act, that's exactly what it is. It says they're illegals. Or the EWIs, without inspection, entry without inspection. Okay? They did not come into the country legally, therefore they are here illegally. Thus, they are legally called illegals. Sorry for that.
No. See, we want people to know about this. In fact, we fight. There are people who have parents came here, they are on legal status, paying taxes for the last so many years, and then kids attain the age of 21 just because they are still the legal aliens. And kids, they have to apply for a student visa at the age of 21 because these guys did not get green cards yet. There's a problem of the kids, of the people who came legally here and paying all the taxes, whose kids became 21 years and older, and they don't have status. So that is the problem. They're not. We try to represent to Democratic leaders when Trump offered the deal. They were unwilling to listen to us.
There's a big issue in that regards, because we do have a lot of children who are brought here, not of their own volition, and cannot go back to the country where their parents are born in and where many of them were born, because they don't know the language, they don't know the history, they don't know the culture. Okay, that is an issue that we have to deal with as a nation.
Yeah, we have to deal. Yeah, we understand compassionately. Yeah. We also understand.
We can't send them back to their countries, because it would be a death sentence for so many of them. Okay, they wouldn't be able to survive. So we've got to come up with a way. So they're here legally. They'll never get citizenship, and they can't sponsor anybody in if they ever would. That's the DACA program. If they were to become citizens through that program, as I understand it, they could not sponsor their parents who brought them here illegally for status. And I can support that if that's in fact how it goes. But I don't think anybody that's come into the country illegally or was brought into the country illegally should have any status more than some type of recognition that they're going to live here for the rest of their lives. They're going to be able to go to school. They're going to be able to have a job, but they are not going to be citizens. And I'm still working through all that. I've got a lawyer, an attorney who is working with me on developing that. She is an immigration attorney, and she has dealt with this quite a bit. She is very much opposed, and she's a very strong conservative. She is very much opposed to saying, hey, we got to send these people back to the countries they came from for the reasons that I just enumerated. But we're trying to work on something that would benefit everyone without trying to entice more people to come across that border illegally.
Exactly. In fact, Trump in its first year of presidency offered to Democrats that he wants to give green cards, like authorization to stay here, and then a path to citizenship in 20 years or so. But he wanted in turn certain things, like one is chain immigration removal and lottery system removal, and then replacing the present immigration with the merit system. But they never agreed anyway.
Right. I don't agree with that. I think the merit system is very, very good. I do believe in the lottery system a little bit, not as much as we've used it, but I think, why not give people an opportunity that they wouldn't otherwise have? But the merit system is the most important, because like any other country, we need certain skills here. So why wouldn't we say, we need brain surgeons? We don't have enough. But yet, in India, they've got a surplus. The people there are so focused on education. So they've actually got a surplus of brain surgeons. And there's several that want to come to the United States. Bring them. Let's fast track them, because we need them folks here. Now, we've got people who want to come into the United States because they have no skills, and they want to come here because they heard, hey, we've got a lot of social benefits. They're not the people we want to bring in. I hate to say it, but they're definitely not. Should we allow some of them to come in through the lottery system? Yes, absolutely. And our refugee and asylum systems should be fixed so that we let the right people come in according to our laws that deal with refugees and asylum.
Okay. Anyway, Biden wants to have 700 times more number of refugees he wants to take. That's a different thing. Okay. Coming back to right to self-defense.
Yes.
Like we spoke about the Democrats' obsession for illegal things, rather illegal, the term. It became new normal for them to treat illegal as legal. So in that case, they're also letting these illegal guys, illegal people run on the streets and then do rioting and then looting. And for the, none of the people in the Democratic National Conference, they mentioned about this rioting and looting. It is not good. No person has told rioting is bad and looting is bad. Okay, peaceful protesters are there, but maybe some antisocial elements have crept in, they have done. At least that statement they would have made, but they chose not to make any such statement. They're embracing again illegals on the streets. And then, you know, like most of the states, they have cashless bonds and things like that. And in that connection, the Gun Control Act and things like that, they have confiscated the guns of St. Louis couple who tried to defend themselves. So now, with this pretext, I would like you to explain about what's your stand on right to self-defense.
I am a very, very strong, and I unequivocally believe in everybody's personal right to own weapons and to defend themselves and their property. We have seen in our district some violence, and thank God the people that were local here wouldn't put up with it. We had a Civil War statute torn down, and that was advocated for by one of our state senators. And when after she was arrested, okay, we had several politicians from across the state, including my opponent, Bobby Scott, who came to the area. It was in Portsmouth, Virginia. And they said this was good trouble. Okay, a man was nearly killed. He is never going to go back to work because he was hurt so badly in that riot. They call it good trouble, and they support it. Okay, the Democrats support the riots that are going on across the country because, like you said, they refuse to acknowledge it. It's coming to neighborhoods everywhere. In the 3rd district, in the last 2 weeks since I started counting, we haven't had a day go by without somebody getting shot, somebody innocent. Here since as long as I've been here. I've been here for 20 years. That has not happened ever before, to my recollection. So we have to maintain that right to self-defense. We absolutely have to. And as long as the left continues to move forward and refuses to condemn anyone that's rioting, anyone that's looting, and refuses to prosecute them, because that's the dirty little secret here. We are not prosecuting rioters. We are
that is precisely where the society is moving.
Exactly. Well, it's happening right now. Okay. We have in Portsmouth, Virginia, we have a Commonwealth attorney who does not prosecute most of the people that the police arrest. But by God, if a police officer steps out of line, the slightest bit, she will prosecute them. Okay. That is where our society is going. Portsmouth, Virginia is down half their police force. They have 6 police officers on duty at night, any given night. That is it. That city needs about 30 officers on duty at any given night. Our country is falling apart before our eyes very quickly because of these people that are rioting, because of these people that are looting, and because of our politicians who are encouraging it, whether tacitly or unwittingly. That is what's happening in America, and I am seeing it in my district every single day.
Actually, see, I am actually worried. In fact, when we dreamt of America, when our childhood, whether we want to emigrate to some country, we thought America is the best country. And then we chose to come here. Recently, my brother calls me and tells me there are problems in Virginia, New York, and other places. Why don't you guys come back? What are you going to do there? America is no longer what it was. This is what people are saying about America. Right. So what you can offer to fix this perception of people outside of America now?
That is a big issue. And it's got to be that we have to take America back. And I don't care what political party you are. It's we need good, strong Americans who believe in America as it was founded believe in the Constitution as it was written, to include all the amendments that have come into play, that we have passed. And we have to work together towards restoring our country and making it the best place we can possibly make. We've got the freedom of religion, yet our government tells us we can't go to school. We have the freedom of speech, yet we have those on the left with speech codes, and they want to make laws to prohibit the free speech. And we have social media platforms that will cut us off from free speech. We have the right to self-defense, yet when we do so, we will get Commonwealth's attorney or district's attorneys who will prosecute those who try to defend themselves and let those who are attacking go. We have it all backwards. And to fix it, we have to elect strong conservatives, and we have to get these laws that are being imposed on us changed. And then thank God that we've got Amy Coney Barrett added to our Supreme Court, because Chief Justice John Roberts is not doing his job very well. So now we still have a majority up there of people who will interpret the Constitution. Now, you didn't hear a single Democrat saying, I oppose this person because they support the Constitution. It's, excuse me, because, you know, they want something going on. They oppose them because they do support the Constitution. Every single statement they made said that. Every last one.
Exactly. This is what I generally feel. American Constitution was written long ago when honor system is at its peak. Rather, 110% people are very good. Now, there are bad people came into the system. People, greedy people are coming into the system. At this stage, the interpretation should be slightly different. Like, yeah, there was a law for refugees. It was made when the Constitution was written in 1800s or 1700s. But people are coming to America as if they are invading. That's not, those are not refugees. They are trying to invade America. So laws have to be changed. Go ahead, sir, your opinion.
No, you're absolutely right. We have so many people in power, and I hate to use that term, but that's what they've assumed, in the Congress and in the Senate, who shouldn't be there. And that's one of the reasons I support a term limits amendment to the Constitution, because, you know, power corrupts. Absolute power absolutely corrupts absolutely. And that's what we have, particularly on the Democrat side. Okay, President Obama, you know, what he did with the Fast and Furious program of selling weapons to gang members and drug runners in hopes that Americans would get killed, and then they would turn and support the revocation of the Second Amendment. That was horrendous. And today, we have Democrats in office across the board lying every day to the American people. They tried to impeach a duly elected president based on lies, based on information that every last one of them knew was a lie. And we're finding more and more about that every day. Now we want to, excuse me, now they are putting up a very corrupt man to run for president. Okay, it's coming out more and more every day what this man and his family have done to hurt our country. That the Democrats want to keep him going. They're trying to make him look like a saint, when in fact he is the furthest thing from it. And the Democrats are looking for personal power, depending on the people who need the help the most to vote for them. And like the Democrats have told the poor for the last 50 years, we're your only hope, we're the people that can help you, when in fact they're keeping the poor people down. Okay, the only success the Democrats have had is keeping poor people poor. And that's one of the reasons that we have the slogan, thrive, don't just survive. Everyone in this country can thrive with the programs that we're proposing. Everybody.
Exactly. I believe. You mentioned about Obama.
Yes.
Okay. And then the other day he was there in Florida, surrogating on behalf of Biden.
Mhm.
And then hardly anybody is coming to his campaigns, I mean, his rallies also.
Right.
There are a lot of cars in car, there is one person. Okay.
Right.
Forget about those things. How many people like Obama now is a different thing. He comes and tells, okay, Biden and the Harris are so capable. Please vote them. And this president is not capable. He's overwhelming us with a lot of things every day in the news. Something like that he was stating. Okay. So if Biden and Harris were so capable, why they want the next president to come, and why he as an ex-president can come, tell about them.
Well, if Biden was so capable, most of these issues he's campaigning on wouldn't exist. The man has been in politics almost my entire life. He has campaigned almost my whole life on helping the poor and helping the impoverished. And he's done none of it. What he has done is he's passed laws that hurt Black people.
Exactly.
Okay. He's been involved in a lot of that his entire career. You know, and he makes comments that are just the most racist comments I could imagine. You know, and people say, well, that was a mistake. Well, it's subliminal because it's what he believes. Okay. Poor people are as capable as white people. Okay. That's what he believes deep down in his heart. He's a racist. He's proven it.
Right.
People call the president racist, but they have not a single thread of evidence. They can't tell you one single comment he has ever made that's racist. Yet the man who has made racist comments his entire career, we're being told he is a man of inclusion. He loves everybody. There's nothing further from that truth.
Like with all these things that have been happening in the country, do you think that the Democratic voters in your district, are they realizing that they should not believe Democratic governments and Democrats?
I think more people are. I was told, as I told you earlier, don't run against Bobby Scott. Nobody can win. It's a almost 50% Black, 50% white district. And I refuse to accept that Black people do not want the same things I want. Okay. We all want the exact same things. We want to be able to go to work. We want to be able to come home. We want to be able to provide the best life we can for our children, for our spouses, and we want to live in a very safe neighborhood. So when we say that and we believe that, color is not an issue. Are there going to be some Black people that vote against me because I'm a Republican? Of course there are. Is it as many as would have 4 years ago? No, not at all. Because as I'm out in the community and I'm meeting people who traditionally only vote Democrat, Black and white, they tell me that they love what I stand for. They love my proposals and they're voting for me. You can go into many neighborhoods in the 3rd district. On one side of the street will be a Biden sign. On the other side of the street will be a Trump sign, more Trump than Biden. But they'll both have my campaign sign in their yards because they know that I'm going to fight for what is right. And I don't care which party is proposing it. We're doing things that are right solely because they are right. So, I've had Black people and white people come up to me and say, I am voting for you, although I'm not a Republican, but I'm voting for you because you are the right man for this job at this time.
Yeah, we almost come to an end of this session, and you have been very, very friendly, or you have been very emotional in telling certain things. Okay, we like it. I mean, personally, I like it the way you have shown what is right and what is wrong. Then finally, you can tell our viewers who are across USA, if not your constituency, your district. Okay, what do you want to tell now in this situation? What do you want to tell our viewers?
We're at a crossroads in this country right now. The last time that we were at this level of difficulty in our country was in 1860, right before we went into a civil war. Folks, we can't afford that. We are one nation under God that were given the greatest gift in the world, and that is to be born or to be blessed by the ability to come and live in the United States as a citizen. We have inalienable rights that are trying to be taken away from us. This year, President Trump, the strongest president we have ever had in my lifetime, needs to be reelected. And he needs a Congress that's going to support him. Not rubber stamp, but support. And there is a big difference. And he needs a Senate that will do the same thing. So we need the American people to consider everything that's going on across the country tonight. The shootings in cities that have never had shootings. The destruction, what many on the left are calling good trouble, needs to go away. And we can only do that with strong leaders, both nationally and at the state level. Without that, our nation will cease to exist as we know it. So please, if you haven't voted already, please look at your Republican candidates, compare them against your own values. And please, if you agree with us, if you agree with the candidate that would be representing you in the House of Representatives or in the Senate, please vote for them. Don't look at, I've always been a Democrat, I'm always gonna vote Democrat. That's what got us into this problem to begin with. And if you've always voted Republican, reaffirm your vote by looking into the candidates that you support to make sure that they agree with your values as well. And then once we are all elected, hold our feet to the fire. If a Republican is not doing the job that he said he was going to do in 2 years, find a candidate to go against him in the primary. Hold us accountable for everything we say and do 100% of the time. And like I tell everybody I come across in the 3rd District of Virginia, if I don't do what I say I'm going to do, if everything I do does not meet the 3 criteria, being legal, ethical, and moral, you let me know and I will not run again. I'm a man of honor. I'm going to keep that honor. And I'm going to make sure everybody that works for me is as honorable as I am and does everything that's legal, ethical, and moral. And we are going to do what we can to make this country the absolute best country it can be for our children and our grandchildren. And if you'd like to follow me, please go on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Collick, 4, That's facebook.com/Collick, COLLICK, 4, Congress. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Thanks for your time. Viewers, you have seen such an emotional dialogues from John. And America is at crossroads. And elections are only 7 days away. You, the American people, can make the difference. No election has ever been so clear. The choice is very clear to you. Go, talk to your conscience and make a selection, make the right selection. Everybody will be happy. Thank you. And we'll come back to you tomorrow with another session. Thank you. Bye-bye.